So we're going to talk about how to make both histograms and box plots here. So again, we want to start with having the library ggplot2. So again, if you run this command and you get some sort of error or warning message down here, right, it doesn't load like this, then you probably need to go to Tools, Install Packages, type ggplot2, right, and then ggplot2. I would even click on it here. And then hit install, and you'll see a lot of stuff show up in your command window or in your console down here. So if you're having an error there, try to install it, make sure that it's installed, and then rerun this ggplot2 library command. And then always, right, it's a good practice to set your working directory. So I've had previous videos talking about how to set the working directory, but this will be wherever your data is located. So I'll go ahead and set my working directory, and then I will load in my Penguins data. So load in Penguins data, right? And so the way you do this is you use the read.csv command. Penguins data.csv is the name of my file, CSV. And then I use strings as factors equals true, because I want when my data loads for these strings. So like species, island, and sex, those that are represented by strings like female, male, Bisco, dream, Adele, chinstrap, etc. I want those to be loaded as factors. Makes it just a little bit easier to do a lot of our stuff. And so today we're talking about how to make histograms first. So again, I'm going to bring over a line of ggplot code, and I'll talk about how it works. And then we'll run it. So what this does, this makes a histogram. And within the histogram, what it's going to do is it's going to use ggplot. The data is going to be the Penguins data. So unlike, pie charts where I kind of made that summary data to start, this one, you just start immediately with the Penguins data. You have to specify for a histogram what you want along the x-axis. So I'm going to specify on the x-axis, I want the flipper length this time. And then I'll put in the number of bins I want on my histogram. I'll put the flipper length as a label. So, this is actually making the histogram. This is making labels. So the x-axis labels flipper length, y-axis labels the count. And then what I'm going to do, the scale y and scale x continuous, this is going to just set the number of sort of tick marks that go along my y and x axis. I put on a classic theme and I adjust the x-axis text size and the title size is on the x and y axes. Once all of that is in there, I can run this. And we don't see the histogram yet. We still need to hit print histogram. So I'll hit print histogram and you'll see it pop over here. So again, you have the flipper length and the count, and you get to see the histogram, which is super cool. And you might want to even do more things with this. So, histograms, you could also make it different colors for maybe different values of a categorical variable. So for example, you might choose, okay, well, on my x-axis, I have flipper length. On my y-axis is the count, but maybe I want to fill the color of this graph, I want to be based on the species. Okay, so you might say something like that. Now, if you run this, you'll see now, we have the same histogram as before, but now it's actually colored it according to species. So you can see, we had one hump over here, one hump over here. So these are mostly Adele penguins, and these are mostly Gentoo penguins with larger flippers. So you can kind of get a little benefit there. Right, and if I want to add, this label species lowercase, maybe I want my label to say the fill is species and uppercase. Oops. So then I could just put a string here, species and uppercase, and I rerun this line. You'll see it make it species and uppercase. And of course, you want to save these sorts of, so ggsave is our tool to save figures. So flipper length histogram.png, that's what I'll call it. Again, you might be calling it something different, but the plot I'm using is called histogram up here. And then, right, you can specify the width and the height. Do all that, boom, run that, come over to my directory. So this is the same directory as wherever my data is. And you can see that I've made this flipper length histogram. And you can see, right, you don't have to do this coloring, but I liked doing this coloring because it kind of conveyed a message. You can see your histogram. So very cool. Now, I'm also going to show you how to make box plots. So let's see how to make a box plot. So let's start again with talking about the general code. So again, I'm going to copy it over and then discuss it. So what this does, make a box plot. We again say ggplot. The data is in the penguin's data frame. And then if you think about a box plot on the x-axis, you have your categorical variables. So for us, maybe we're interested in species. And on the y-axis, you have your quantitative variable, which I'll use flipper length again. And so this will make the box plot, put on a classic theme. It'll label the x-axis species, the y-axis flipper length, and then it'll just adjust the text sizes of my x-axis, y-axis, and their titles. So if I run this, and then I guess I say print box plot, we'll get a picture here. So, you can see species, flipper length, here's a del H and strap gen 2. You can see the box plots. You can see the outliers that are in the Adele penguins. You can see the chin strap, and you can see the gen 2 penguins. And this is a cool graph because, again, you're comparing a categorical variable like species with a quantitative variable like flipper length. But maybe you want to even include another categorical variable. So, again, you might try to do that fill. And you might do that fill based off of maybe sex. So instead of species, maybe you think sex has something to play with here. And so if you run this code, print the box plot again, you'll see R is smart enough, or ggplot is smart enough to go ahead and make that same box plot, but make two separate box plots for each of the individual species. One for the female, one for the male. And so you'll see, right, we've got two box plots for each of the individual species. And again, you might want to adjust the label for the fill to be species just uppercase, if we're just trying to be clean with it. And so we run that. Oh, sorry, not species. That is definitely sex of the penguin. So there you go. That label says sex. We got female and male. So we got this nice, pretty picture here. And again, you might want to save it. So you should say GG save, and I'm just going to copy. Well, it's probably fine, but let's call it box plot flipper length.png. The plot we're going to say is the box plot. And then the width we'll say is 8, and we'll say the height is 5. And so if we run all this, print save, and let's see, not there, but rather have to look at the same directory for a second. One of these recordings, but if I go here into my scripts, you'll see this box flipper length PNG file showed up. And here we have our box plots that we can put. So that's how you make a box plot.